entrepreneurs, coaches, and influencers together to discuss cutting-edge topics in the world of relationships, culture, business, and spirituality. And here's your host, Miss Carol Boston.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Intuitive Entrepreneur Show. I am so excited to be here today. For those of you who follow me, you know what? I'm your weather girl. Look at this beautiful weather behind me. It is breezy, it is warm, and I am in sunny Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So when you chime in to chat with me today, let me know where you're chiming in from and what the weather's like where you are. Also, for those of you who follow me, we have started working on making the changes to this show. We're going to be moving from the intuitive entrepreneur to crack your code, reframe your life. I've gotten phenomenal feedback on that from many people in many different arenas and different areas. So I'm excited to be bringing experts in that arena to the table. And anybody who wants to be on this show and get interviewed gets to do what? Crack their code. How many of you looked to see what the title of today was? Close the gap. And do you know what's in the gap for you? Because oftentimes we don't know. But we're not going to jump in it yet because people tend to show up a little bit late, so we don't want to hop into the really good content right away. Let's chat about what's going on in your world as well. I know here in the United States, we have elections coming up. You can now vote. It's open. I'm going to be voting by mail and taking mine in right up the street to the precinct and dropping it off on tomorrow, on Thursday. So I'm excited about that. Spoke to a gentleman not too long ago. He's from Canada. He's been down here in the United States for quite a few years. And he was talking about, he was actually just talking about one of the presidential candidates and some of the things that candidate had said about how he treated women and everything. And he looked at me and he goes, "You people don't know the freedom you have here in the United States." And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, if he had said that in Canada, he'd have been put in jail. He'd never get to run again. He said, you have people here in America that talk back to the police officers. They shoot at police officers. They spit on them. They scream at them. He said, you do that one time in Canada, you're done. You will never do it again. So I say that because he's right. Oftentimes here in America, we get used to things, right? How many of you have gotten used to something? You just take it for granted. And so we get used to, as a matter of fact, what did I say yesterday to someone? Oh, I know what it was. I took my car in yesterday. It needed Freon again. That's a whole other long 4 or 5 year story, but they put the Freon in for free. It just, cost me time to drive all the way out there. And one of the gentlemen out there sells new cars, and I've known him for decades. And I shared with him, I said, I really love this car. This is just the one challenge I have with this car. And I said, I've driven a couple of the newer Genesis. I drove a 2019. I drove a 2022. And I said, honestly, I like my car better. And he said, what do you like better about it? And I told him, he said, or perhaps you've just gotten used to it. Oh, I really do like my car better though. But how often do we just get used to something? And that our minds aren't open to, well, what else is out there? What else is possible today? What if there were something better? Now, I'm open to the fact that there may well be a car that's better than my car. There's probably out there, right? It just wasn't the same model as mine that I was driving. And are you open to the possibility? And asking for favor, my goodness. They put in a new part 18 months ago. This has been a battle in my car with this Freon. Like I say, it's the biggest challenge with this car. It's a Hyundai Genesis, luxury sedan of the year when I bought it. And finally, 18 months ago, they put in a new part. I think it was a compressor. I'm not sure. But I went in to see the manager and showed him the receipt, and they didn't charge me for it. It's like a $1,350 part. And he looked at it and he goes, Carol, we put in an OEM, which stands for Original Equipment Manufacturer Part. He said, it's like the very original one you had. He said, it's not like the one that we put in a couple of years ago because that was a secondary part, which we're required to use on initial repairs. He said, you are good to go for another 10 years with this part. Every day I get in my car and I say, thank you, thank you, thank you, God. I love having great cold air conditioner down here in Florida. So when I got in the car a few days ago and it was like, oh my gosh, it's blowing hot air. I called them up and I told them, I said, it's only been 16 months, not 10 years. But they put the Freon in for free. So as long as I'm willing to go get free Freon, I'm going to keep the car. What are you holding on to? What is something that you love? Tell me in the chat. What is something that you love that even if something newer came along, you might not give it up? Sometimes that's the gap for us. The gap from where we are to where we really want to go, right? Let's talk about that gap. Oftentimes our blind spots keep us in the gap. Sometimes our blind spots, the things we can't see in our own behavior that we all get to have a good coach because someone on the outside can see them and can challenge us and direct us, give us new habits, new way of thinking, new skills to overcome and move through the blind spots. Sometimes the blind spots are in the gap. In the gap. There's a gentleman named Michael Strassner, pioneer in leadership, leading pioneer in leadership for like 35 years. He's amazing. I met him. One of his famous books is Out on Leadership. It's Out on the Skinny Branches, right? It's not where you sit in close to the trunk of the tree where it's safe. You got a big, thick tree trunk to hold on to. It's when you crawl out on the skinny branches and your weight is heavy and you feel like the branches are going to break. How are you in your leadership then? He was the lead leadership coach in a very intensive leadership program I took almost 3 years ago. And I just found out he's going to be speaking tomorrow. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to clear my calendar. I got to move this client because I don't want to miss him. He's that good. Who do you follow that's that good that you would clear your calendar? Put it in the comments for me. Let me know. For some people, it's Tony Robbins. For some people, it's Lisa Nichols. For some people, it's Shanda Sumter or Joyce Myers, right? Who are you following? Who are the 5 people that you spend the most time with? Because if those people are not pushing you forward and lifting you up, perhaps they're keeping you in the gap, right? If we're hanging around negative people, they keep us in the gap. So I was just on an onboarding call. I'm the business coach in a high-end mastermind. And we had an onboarding call for new clients in the last hour. And I heard a gentleman come on and he said his purpose is to, I wrote it down so I didn't mess it up, to close the gap between spirituality and true wealth. I wrote that down. There's so many of us that have a challenge, right, with wealth because of how we were raised in spirituality in our families. Well, nobody needs to have that much money. I heard that growing up. Can't be Christian and have that much money. I heard that growing up, right? Only people who are greedy have that much money. Listen, folks, money is energy. And there's a huge gap for people because we give money power over us when it's us that has power over money. And we don't see it because of how we were raised and the things that we were told. Money's energy. I may have mentioned it last week. It's worth repeating. Picture, just lost the note. Picture the earth right now. Close your eyes. Picture the earth with no human beings on it. I'm going to give you a second to do that. If you're watching this on #replay, come back and tell me that you did this on replay. You take everybody off the earth. Guess what? The earth is still full of gold, diamonds, silver, emeralds, rubies. The earth is still loaded. But guess what? None of those things have value. They're worth nothing because no humans are here to give them value. It's humans that give money value, but oftentimes we think money has the power over us. One of the things that I've become very aware of lately is the flow of money. How many of us, come on, put it in the chat, say that's me. We're grateful when money comes in. We're not grateful when it goes out. I was talking to a client just this week about being in gratitude for paying the amount of taxes that she gets to pay. That means you made a lot of money. And in order for more to come in, you get to make room, which means some gets to go out. How many of you, how many of us? I've been there, done that. What's in the gap for you? Is it hard to make money? I heard that growing up. I was a workaholic in corporate America, worked my ass off, almost destroyed my health twice, right? I remember one day when someone said, when did you decide, Carol, that it had to be hard? I was like, what? I didn't make that decision. But as an adult, I get to choose whether I want to continue that belief or let it go and adopt a new belief. If you're someone who follows me and knows I give you writer downers, write this down. The phrase up until today. One of the ladies that was just onboarding into our program, she was introducing herself and she said, I am a terrible, terrible speaker. The lady leading the call must have seen the cringe on my face. She's like, and I need to do this and I need to do that. And I'm like, oh, no. Folks, anything that we say after the words I am is an invocation. We are calling it into being. I'm depressed. I'm tired. I'm broke. What are you saying about you? What are you saying in your head that you're not even saying out loud? And are you listening? Right? We all have that little voice that comes up in our head. But we get to choose whether we're going to listen to that negative, fearful voice. And we get to choose whether we're going to act on it. Right? I'm not saying we can control every thought that comes into our brain. We can't. Sometimes thoughts just show up. But we get to choose if we're going to dwell on them. And we get to choose if we're going to believe them or to act on them. So I was sharing with a client last week. I pretend like those voices are right there on my shoulder. They're always with us, folks. You can't deny them. You can't try to ignore them. If we act like an ostrich and we stick our head in the sand, guess what? Our ass is in the air to get kicked. Picture an ostrich. They put their head in the sand. So we can't pretend like they don't exist. But when they come up, we get to make that choice. And I tell people, I just look at my shoulder. I say, thank you for sharing. I'm going to move forward anyway. Thank you for sharing. I'm going to move forward anyway. We get to acknowledge that those thoughts and those feelings are there. Denial doesn't do any of us any good because they're still there, right? Up until today. So anyway, the leader of the Zoom call said, oh, Coach Carol's face is just cringing. Would you like to add something, Coach Carol? And I said, yes. And the first thing I said is write this down. Take the word need, have to, and must out of your vocabulary. They all come from lack. You don't need to be a better speaker. You've been getting along just fine as you are, right? But you get to be a better speaker. You get to have a greater impact. You get to have expansion. Because when we get to, we're coming from a place of what? Power and choice. That's a writer downer for you. There's power in choice. Specificity gives you clarity. Clarity gives you power. When you have that power and you operate from a place of choice, not lack. I believe you come from abundance. I come from abundance, not from lack. But we all get to believe that for ourselves. But sometimes we get to have a good coach who holds that vision for us until we can believe it for ourselves. I've done that three big times in my life. It's how I got a tennis scholarship when I didn't really start playing until I was 15. Didn't have private lessons. It's how I got from Dallas, Texas to Miami, Florida for a 26-year successful sales career when I knew nothing about sales. I just trusted the person who said, trust me, and be in Miami in a week. Okay, I guess at the time I thought, what did I think back then? Because I didn't know any better. I said, I need a job. I guess I'm going to Florida. I didn't really need that job, did I? But I chose to say that. And it's how I became a professional speaker, trusting in someone else's vision. Carol, I've forgotten how to dream. I had someone say to me recently, I don't really have a vision. What does the Bible tell us? Without a vision, the people perish. I said, I'm a good coach. I can help you recreate a vision and a dream and create an action plan to help you get from where you are to where you really, really want to be. If that's you and you're listening, private message me. Let's have a conversation. Where you are, what it would take to get you from where you are, get you out of your pain. Right? Good coaches, what? Problem solvers. They help get rid of pain. They help people move into the very thing that they want to be. DM me. And stay tuned. I'm working on a really cool Black Friday offer for the day after Thanksgiving. Who's ready to hop into our Iyanla Vanzant book? Let me know in the chat. I know I have voyeurs. Back to the click it glasses. The month of October, the theme is I will realize my own worth when I accept ... Today is when I accept that life does not have to be hard. A lot of us create a hard life because we believe it has to be hard. She says, when we are not clear that we are worthy, worthwhile, and valuable beings, we believe that life must be hard. This belief will bring into your experience difficult situations that you will have to fight your way through. Now that's important. Listen, folks, we all have in our brain a reticular activation system. Yeah, that's what it's called, the RAS. And it will go out and find evidence to support what you believe. Come on. We've all been there, right? We go find evidence to support what we believe, and we tell somebody else, see, I told you so. See, I told you so. I had a conversation with someone a few weeks ago, and they said, well, here's a challenge for you, Carol. And I gave them an empowering question around that challenge to open up a door to possibility. You know what they did? Here's another challenge. I gave them another empowering question. Let's open the door to limitless possibilities. What do you think they did? They said, here's another challenge. Holy mackerel. You're so focused on challenge, you're going to keep going and finding them because your RAS supports what you believe. I'm asking you, what are you believing about you? What are you believing about your business? What are you believing about your relationships? On the other end of the fight, you can sit back and marvel at what you have done. You have bragging rights because of what you've been through and come through. You are a fighter. It may be difficult for you to understand that you are creating these situations to support the subconscious belief that you do not deserve to live a joy-filled or easy, peaceful life. Think about it, folks. We create things to support our beliefs. Just because you can take a punch does not mean you must make yourself a punching bag. Victim to victor. Are you ready to be victorious? Nobody does it alone. When we learn how to duck and dodge the punches life sends our way, this process of living can become an exhausting habit. There are people who are in the habit of living hard lives. When you expect to be punched and you are always looking for the fist, guess what? It comes again and again and again. How many of you have ever said, I cannot believe I'm in this situation again? Or, oh my God, I can't believe I did that again. Folks, we're calling it in. We're operating from choice. Eventually, you become punch drunk waiting to be knocked down just so that you can prove that you can't be or won't be knocked out. Think about that. We get knocked down just so we have a story. What if you could create a new story, a better story? That you didn't have to hit rock bottom before you got up. You didn't have to get knocked down 19 times to get up 20. What if? Are you open? Would you be open? Are you willing? Because we all create. We are co-creators in the story of our own lives. Life does not have to be hard. There is no good reason for you to be beaten up by the conditions in your life. If this is happening to you, check out your expectations. Check to make sure that you are not waiting for the next disaster to strike just to prove that you can take it. Until today, you may not have been aware of the role your thoughts, words, and expectations play in the creation of your own life experiences. You may be creating pain in your life as a reflection of the belief that you're not worthy of anything else. Just for today, refuse to fight your way through life. Open your mind and your heart, asking that they be filled with a vision and an expectation of a joy-filled and peaceful future. Yeah, there's a lot of chaos going on in the world, but you can have a peaceful future if you choose it. Today, I'm devoted to expecting and experiencing a peaceful, nonviolent way of living and being. Are you ready? Are you willing? I love teaching and training on empowering questions. They open the door to limitless possibilities. But what happens with most of us is what? We are so attached to the outcome. It's got to look like this, Carol. This is what I want. It's got to show up looking like this. And as soon as we do that, we narrow the possibilities. This is a vast earth. God has created amazing, amazing things. And yet we get stuck in our jar. Come on, can't read the label when you're inside the jar. And we're all in a jar, including me. I can't wait to show up and hear Michael Strassner tomorrow talk about blind spots. I know I get to learn something. Because we all get to continue growing until the time it's time for us to leave this earth and our soul and our spirit to leave this bag of bones, as my friend calls us. She goes, we're a spiritual being in a bag of bones, sack of bones. I think she calls it a sack of bones, right? How many of us are holding on to what's gone and not living our lives fully? I want to help you live your life to the fullest so that you know your value, own your power, and advocate for yourself and become the lioness and lion leaders that you were created to be, multiplying your income and your profits. But when you work with me, you get to look at wealth in a 360-degree view. It's not just about money. You can be wealthy in relationships, not necessarily in your pocketbook. You could be wealthy in your pocketbook and have the crappiest relationships ever. How many people in Hollywood commit suicide? They got a lot of money. They're not happy. They don't have good relationships. They have poor and ineffective communication skills. I would love to get a hold of J-Lo and Ben Affleck with my new Codebreaker technology bank tool and crack their codes and teach them how they could meet each other where they're at in their dominant code and learn to speak that language so that they both feel seen and heard and understood, not battling. Not battling. So I'm putting it out there. If you're watching this on hashtag replay and you know how to get a hold of J-Lo or Ben Affleck, let me know. I'm serious. Can you imagine what an opportunity that would be to change lives? It'd create an explosion all across this country. because they're prominent. People follow them, right? We get to be careful who we're following, folks. Who are you listening to? Who are the 5 people you surround yourself with? Are they lifting you up? Are they encouraging you? Are they leading the way? Are they showing you by example? Are you listening to people who are telling you what to do and they've never done it themselves? That happens all the time, right? All the time. I'm excited about the changes that are coming forward. Once we get them in place, we're going to be doing a lot of marketing. We're going to begin having major dialogues again and not monologues. There's going to be a lot of promotion around the show. We're going to have some amazing guests on this show. One of them that I'm reaching out to is the founder and creator of the Codebreaker technology. It's got 2 patents. She just got back from training the United Nations in this communication tool. How many of you would like to learn how you're showing up in the world and how it's impacting your communication or lack thereof? Private message me, say, Carol, I want to crack my code. There was 2 people here last week. Oh no, I was sick last week before. Stephanie and Debbie. They both cracked their code. So, oh my God, Carol, this is exactly what I do. This is exactly who I am. But what about my husband? What about my boyfriend? Let's crack their code and learn how to communicate better. Because folks, it's not personal, it's personality. You want to come back, you want to follow this podcast, you want to share it with your friends, because so much strife in life is caused because we take things personal. Our ego gets in the way and we think it's all about us. What if it wasn't? What if there was an opportunity for better? Better health, more peace, better relationships, easier money flow, easier work, better friendships. It's all there for the taking. But we get to put the tools in place to do what? Close the gap. Do you know what's in your gap? If you don't, ping me. Let's have a conversation. I am really good at asking the right questions to get the answers that you're really looking for. Come back next week. We're going to keep chatting. We're going to keep talking. We're going to keep teaching and training and pouring into you guys. I love helping people take it to the next level in their personal development, their leadership, and their business. My name is Carol Boston. This has been the Intuitive Entrepreneur Show. Can you believe we're almost at the end of October? What do you have on the horizon in fourth quarter? Are you looking for somebody to help you reach your goals in the fourth quarter? Private message me. Let's just have a conversation. If you haven't met your goals for the first 3 quarters of the year, are you going to do it by yourself in the fourth quarter? Maybe not. Actually, the statistics say probably not. I'm a great coach, and I have a good coach, right? We all get to have a good coach. Today's the day. Private message me and look out for what's coming for Black Friday. Thank you, everybody. Go in peace. Make sure you make somebody smile today. Don't make them smile. Give them a smile. See if they smile back. Blessings. We'll see you next week. Take good care.
Thank you for listening to the Intuitive Entrepreneur Show, brought to you by Life Coaching Today magazine, empowering your health, your business, your community, your life. Check out the latest issue today at lifecoachingtoday.com. Everyone here at the True Awesome Network asks you to please subscribe, like, comment, and spread awesome.